And good evening. Thanks for joining us for our election night coverage here on WTHR.com, WTHR Plus, and our WTHR News app. We are following races all across the state of Indiana. In a moment, we'll get to Dustin Grove. He is monitoring the election results from our newsroom. But we want to begin tonight here at 10 o'clock with the biggest race here in Indiana. Earlier tonight, Senator Mike Braun declaring victory in the Republican primary for governor of Indiana. Senator Braun wants to take his work in Washington to the Indiana Statehouse. He's talking here to supporters at a party in Whitestown, and he really celebrated the victory over his 5 Republican challengers. Senator Braun said tonight that freedom and opportunity are 2 most important things for Hoosiers.
I look at what the founders did in those heady times when everything was on the line. They didn't want to be under the thumb of somebody telling them from afar, from the top down, what to do. Sadly, we've evolved into it. The brilliance of our system, it's federal. It's made up of 50 states. If you live in one, you got 49 other choices. And sooner or later, you got to make sure government gets back to the people at the levels where you're going to be accountable and you can get things done. That's what I intend to do.
Mike Braun will now face the Democratic nominee, Jennifer McCormick, in November. So we want to continue our team coverage tonight with Dustin Grove. He's been getting the real-time results for us from today's primary election, and Dustin joins us live tonight at 10 o'clock from the newsroom. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, Scott. We've been watching very closely 2 heated and expensive congressional races, the 5th and 6th districts. So let's get over to the 5th, and we can show you that it looks like incumbent Victoria Spartz will retain her seat for now. She beat the other candidates pretty handily. Coming in second was Chuck Goodrich. This was an expensive campaign. You probably saw the ads on television, couldn't not have seen those ads. And these 2 campaigns, the 2 of them spent more than $6 million in that campaign. So Spartz will face off against the Democrat in November, which is Deborah Pickett, who beat Feniger 59% to 41% with 92% of precincts reporting. Also want to show you quickly the Pike Township Schools operating referendum. It passed. This is in Marion County. The school district was asking for a $14.5 million referendum, in large part for safety and security expenses and also to boost teacher pay to be more competitive. So we're keeping an eye on other races as well. We're tabulating the results. We'll have them at 11 o'clock over on Channel 13. For now, Scott, back to you.
All right, Dustin, thanks so much. Our political expert, Dr. Melissa Borja, is in studio with me tonight, and we want to introduce you to her. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I am an American Studies professor at the University of Michigan, and I am a historian of U.S. politics. I'm also a Hoosier. I live here in downtown Indianapolis.
Very good. Well, we're glad to have you here tonight. Let's look at the 30,000-foot view of what we saw tonight. What are some of your general thoughts about what you saw here on primary night?
Before I talk about what we saw, I just want to lay out why this primary mattered so much and why it was so interesting. The first reason is there were just lots of open races, lots of candidates, lots of competition, and a lot of undecided voters. I think some of the polls show that between 20 and 40% of voters were undecided going into this primary. So that's very interesting. And so it was a chance for lots of possibilities, knowing that different candidates from different factions of the parties involved, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, could emerge. So the outcome of today, I think, is really setting the stage not just for what we'll see in November, but where our state could go in the next 4 to 8 years. And that's why today really, really mattered. I should also say not a lot of people vote in primaries.
Yeah, voter turnout again low, right?
Yeah. Historically, half the people who vote in the November election vote in the primary. So you have not a lot of people making a really big decision.
Right.
And that is really consequential in a state like Indiana, where Republicans have a lot of power.
All right, so we saw, as we watched the news and watched TV all day, all of these political ads. There were millions of dollars spent here in Indiana. Did money talk? Did money work in Indiana in terms of getting the candidates that the campaigns wanted to win?
Yeah, this is such an important point because this primary mattered so much. People paid attention to how much it mattered. People self-funded their campaigns, but also a lot of money came from the outside. So as a result, you had, for example, a governor's primary race that was more expensive than ever before, $40 million spent alone in the governor primary, Republican gubernatorial primary. So that's pretty significant. But what's interesting to me is while the money often mattered, the money paid for all of the advertisements we've been seeing over and over again the past few weeks, it didn't necessarily determine the outcome. So we do see some situations where the candidates that had the most money weren't necessarily the ones who won in the end. We see that with the Democratic Senate primary, for example. We see that in Congressional District 3. And I think that that's an important reminder that money is important, but it's not everything.
All right, let's talk about a couple of the races. Mike Braun is the Republican nominee to run in November against Jennifer McCormick, who ran unopposed and won the Democratic primary. So this will be the race for governor in November. How do you think that race may shape up, and what kind of impact may former President Donald Trump have on Mike Braun? Because Braun has been, basically saying that he is a supporter of Trump and Trump supports him.
Yeah, so the governor's race was so interesting. The fact that you had a lot of different candidates. You had 6 candidates. With 6 candidates, it means you only need 17% to win, right? But Mike Braun got 40% the last time I checked, so that was pretty substantial. Mike Braun is a familiar character to Hoosiers. He's been in politics for a long time. He is also very openly supportive of Trump, has been one of Trump's staunchest supporters for a long time. He endorsed Trump, Trump endorsed him, Trump rallied for him in 2018. So there's a long-standing relationship. And I think that one thing we can see from Braun's victory is Hoosiers like Trump and Trump-associated politicians. I mean, Trump did very well tonight, and Braun did too. I think we need to see their political fortunes as linked.
All right, Dr. Melissa Borja is going to be with us at 11 o'clock as we continue to look at what has happened here in primary election day across the state of Indiana. We've got you covered as results come into our newsroom. We're going to be scrolling the results at the bottom of your screen. You'll also find all of the results on WTHR.com/elections. Thanks so much for joining us tonight at 10 o'clock. We're back with you at 11 o'clock for 13 News at 11. Good night.